Hello and welcome to episode 16 of my RuneScape tutorial Let's Play series. This episode is going to be on having some fun doing farming. I'm going to try and cover as thoroughly as I can the beginning of your farming career, but please do forgive me if I do make mistakes, because there is a ton of information on farming and all the things you can do, plus it's forever being updated, so we'll see how we get on. Farming is a members only skill that allows you to grow and harvest a wide variety of items: crops, trees, fruit trees, flowers and herbs, and possibly other quest items, for use in various skills such as cooking and herb lore. You can find farming allotments at 4 main locations: Falador, west of Port Phantasmal, or however that's pronounced, you'll see, we're going to visit there. North of Catherby, that's my favourite place, and north of Ardoin. There's a farming patch at Tavley, but you can only plant potatoes there. At level 1 farming skill, you will start by planting potatoes, and the best place to do that is Tavley, because Head Farmer Jones will automatically look after your crops, thereby reducing the chance of disease and increasing your yield. At the 4 main allotments there are gardeners who will look after your crops if you pay them, and tall leprechauns. So the gardeners will do like Farmer Jones, except you have to pay them, and we'll take a look at that. The tall leprechauns obviously will hold your tools, well, some of them. To start farming you will need seeds, a watering can and a bucket of water to fill the watering can. The rest of the tools are on your tool belt, or should be. So I first want to start by showing how we get these main items. So we're going to start though with the seeds, so let's put them at the beginning there. We'll take a look first of all how you get your potato seeds. So if you go to Drainar Village, in Drainar Village over here to the left of the bank is Olivia, and if we right click on Olivia and left click trade, you will see that's where you can buy your seeds, importantly potato seeds, because if you're starting at level 1, that's all you can grow. However, if like me you picked 1000 flax, that will take you to level 9 in farming straight away. So let's take a look at what that would open up. So if we go to the skills, and there's the farming. So at level 1, as you can see, is the potato. Members only are in Damon Hole, and you can do them. At level 2 you can grow marigolds, flowers. That's the first flowers, so we're going to take a look at them. If I click on that though, it tells you protects onions, tomatoes, potatoes from disease. So we are going to grow flowers. Flowers is the first thing that you should grow, but I'll explain that in a bit. Then you can go on to barley, you can go on to hammerstone hops, which if we click on that, you can protect this by paying a farmer 1 bunch of marigolds. So there you go, when you start growing your flowers, although you're going to see we don't pick them, but you can use them to pay a farmer. Onions, cabbage, I mean, you can click on these and it tells you then how you can protect them. So if you want the gardener to protect them, you'll need 1 sack of potatoes, and yes, you can buy sacks now, so many things have changed. You can grow nurture evil oak tree saplings at level 7. But here we go, Guam. See, now I love the herb lore skill, is a lot of fun, and of course by picking 1000 flax it gets you to there. How do you get the herb seeds? Well, you have to kill different creatures they can drop, and I think pickpocketing the master farmer. Brings me back to the potato seeds. You can either buy them from Olivia, or you can pickpocket farmers who will occasionally give you seeds. So there's that. So anyway, picking 1000 flax gets you to level 9, and this is how you get your first potato seeds, from buying them from Olivia. Okay then. Now that we have potato seeds and you just started farming, the next thing you want to do is go to Taverley. So let's go there. Taverley, of course, is a main focused area of you doing all sorts of activities, because most of the trainers there are all speech animated. They're all going to talk to you. Okay, so when you teleport into the lodestone at Taverley, if you travel north, you'll see there's a watering can up here. That tells you it's a farming allotment. Or patch, I should say, because you can grow trees at different ones. Okay, so here we are at the Taverley. Here you can only grow potato seeds. If you talk to Head Farmer Jones...
Can I help you with your farming troubles?
I need farming supplies. So let's do that first. Okay, so he will also sell you, well, not sell you, he will give you free potato seeds. But that isn't a lot, so that's why I've shown you where you can go and buy them. He does sell 10 here, but you can get these for free. So let's just take them. Yeah, so they're free. Oh, and a raw potato if you're so inclined. Yeah, look at that, just regenerated one of them. So you can just sit here taking some freebies. So, but all the trainers around here give out the free stuff, you will have noticed. He does sell, however, other items. Watering can, I've mentioned you're going to need. So you're going to need to purchase one of them. You're going to need to start by getting a bucket of compost, and in a moment I will read why. And empty buckets you're going to need for emptying your compost bins once they have properly rotted down to the stage of turning into compost. Right, okay, so the first thing then, farming. Let's just check my notes and see if there's any one thing I want to mention in priority. Okay, when you're farming, now at the patch at Taverley it's different because Farmer Jones is going to take care of your crops. But if you're at a different farming patch than Taverley, you'll need to avoid disease. There are a few ways you can do this. You can stand around and water the plants when required, because your crops will grow in stages. So you will notice, and I'm going to be doing this, but you'll notice that I water the crops, and if you stand around, eventually the crops will grow a cycle and the water will dry up from the ground. You won't see any wet ground. So you just then have to re-water your crops. Now, if you don't want to have to keep standing around, you can plant specific flowers or a scarecrow to protect your crops. That also then will protect from disease. And another method, the last method, is you can hire the local gardener to look over your crops, and so they will protect from disease. Okay, but Farmer Jones will do this patch here. So let's rake this patch. That's the first thing you have to do. The very first thing you'll notice, I wonder if I can get in a bit better so you can see, but there's actually weeds growing on this patch here. So the first thing you'll do is rake, and the rake is on your tool belt, so you don't need to purchase one. Just left click and you'll go and rake. That will get you these weeds. See it going up? Now once you've got enough weeds, you can then put them in a compost bin to turn them into compost. So let's do that. If you left click the weeds, left click the compost bin, and you see you get experience for that as well. So it took 11 weeds, because I think, no wait a minute, how many did I have there? 30, so I think it was 31, so it's taken I think about 15 or something like that, 13. Once you've filled the compost bin up, if you try and put more in, it says the compost bin is full, then you left click the lid to close it. That now will not open up until it is ready. So it says here the vegetation hasn't finished rotting yet, so it needs to rot down into compost. Okay, so we don't have any, do we, compost? So what you can do is buy some from the farmer. Let's talk to him again.
Can I help you with your farming troubles?
What farming recommendations do you have for me? Oh, so he can give you challenges if you do that. I want to purchase, though, a bucket of compost. There we go, compost. It's only 20 gold. I'll buy just one. Okay, now let's tell you a little bit about compost and what it does, why you're buying it. Compost is an item used most commonly with the farming skill. While not as effective as super compost, which I'm going to show you, it reduces the chance of a player's crops becoming diseased while growing throughout the plant cycle. Because remember, there's many cycles, excuse me, there's many cycles to a plant growing before it's fully grown, as well as increasing the minimum number of crops that will be received by the player when you harvest the crops. So two benefits to you. One, it will reduce the chance of disease. Two, it will increase your yield from the crops. So remember, with compost, it's what you use if you do not have super compost. So let's tell you about super compost. Super compost can be made the same way as compost, except you don't use weeds. You'll use pineapples, or you can use bananas, and there are other items you can use if you check the wiki, which the wiki will be in the description of episode 1. I will put the wiki in there. So I'm going to use pineapples. The reason I'm going to show you why I use pineapples, because they're easy to get. You can get a daily amount. So the same as with weeds, you'll need 15 and you put them in a compost bin, which we're going to do. So anyway, notice that because I've been talking for a long time, some more weeds have grown. So we're going to rake again. Now we're going to use the compost on the patch. See here, little animation, you get experience. Okay, so now you'll notice it says inspect. So if I left click, the patch is ready for you to grow potatoes in it. Just use free potato seeds on the farming patch to grow potatoes. And down here you'll notice, sorry, my throat seems to be a bit playing up today. You'll notice you treat the potato patch with compost, so you know you've done it. Okay, next we left click the seeds, left click the patch. And there we are, 3 seeds are now planted. Now the next thing we do is we water. Notice there's a number 2 there. That means because I've been using the watering can since I filled it. And each time you use the watering can to water a patch, watch what happens. So I'm going to left click. Notice there's a 2. Left click on that. Excuse me. It's normally a good idea to water your crops to make disease less likely. However, for this patch, I'll look after it for you myself, so you needn't bother. Okay, so he's telling us there we don't need to water these crops, but that only applies at Taverley. Everywhere else you will need to water. Right, okay, so we've looked at that at Taverley and growing potatoes. I'm going to leave them crops now. Excuse me, to grow, and I'll come back to them at a later date. Next we're going to go to another farming patch, which is the Falador one, but you actually use the I haven't unlocked the Falador lodestone yet, but I'm going to use the Drainar village because I think that's closer. Okay, so this is just intended as a beginner patch at Taverley. Growing potatoes, that's it. Right, once you get to the Drainar lodestone, you're going to come to the southwest And we're going to go here because here's the farming patch. We got to go through the gates though, through the fields. So I can actually click there. You see he's going to run all the way down here and around. You may be attacked by the bandit that's here if you're low level. So just keep running and you'll get away from him. So we'll go across the cabbage field and then we'll come out over here. Now remember me mentioning to you that there's gardeners. So here's Gardener Elstan for the Falador patch. You'll often see buckets on the ground where people discard them. I always take them because they're always useful. Okay, so we're starting here, and the very first thing you should do is plant your, before you think about planting your crops, okay, potatoes, onions or any of the other crops or herbs, you should grow the flowers to protect them. So next I'm going to go through the different flowers or plants you can get to protect your crops. And also I want to mention, you do not have to water your plants, but not watering your plants will give more chance that they will get diseases and then they will die. Now you can buy plant cure if your crops do get diseased. If you don't buy plant cure, then you have to dig up all of the plants, you'll lose them all and then replant. But you can buy plant cure. With the flowers, so starting with marigolds, they protect potatoes, tomatoes and onions. Rosemary protects cabbages, nasturtiums protect watermelons, and white lilies will protect all neighbouring fruit and vegetables. Okay, so talking about the flowers then, you're going to plant them here in the flower patch, so we're going to have to rake. Notice you get farming experience for raking as well. Okay, now we need to use some compost on the patch. So on the subject of compost, let's make some super compost. So I'm going to left click the pineapple, click the compost bin. You see we're getting experience for chucking it into the bin. There we go. So that compost bin is now full. How do we know? Because it says close when you hover over it. So let's close the lid. Now, if you want to know how long it takes to grow, it's roughly about 45 minutes. So what people do is when farming, they hop to the different farming patches to grow their crops, make their compost, and then they'll go off doing other skills and come back and check on them later. So we got some compost, super compost that is, now being made there in that compost bin. The next thing you'd want to do, of course, is plant your flowers. So now we're going to need some compost. So for that we're going to go to the Cafferby farming patch because I've already made some compost there. So just to quickly show you something else, the tool leprechaun will give you access to your tools. So you can see I've stored at the moment 6 buckets with him. Okay, you can also store compost or super compost. You can't store both. Same for the magic. Actually, I retract that. You can store compost, and I'm not sure if you can store super compost at the same time. I think it's one or the other. Same with the watering can. There's a watering can and there's also a magic watering can, which you can get by doing a quest. If you just Google magic watering can RuneScape, it'll tell you what quest. Off the top of my head, I think it's the fairy tale 3. But you can either store a magic watering can or a watering can. You can't store both. So just that to mention. Okay, but if I teleport now to Cafferby, you'll see the tool leprechaun has all my tools there as well. So it's like the bank. You store them with one, they're accessible from every. Okay, so here we are at Cafferby, and just over here to the northwest is the farming patch, so we'll go there. What's useful for you to know, at Cafferby, if we come down to this house here, in here is a bucket of water. So if you're short of buckets or short of a bucket of water, you can come here and on the table it will respawn every so many minutes a bucket of water. So that gets you your water for your watering can. Right, let's come up here to this farming patch. Okay, so at this farming patch you can see that I've grown some marigold. Whatever you do, do not pick your flowers once they're fully grown. Notice it says pick. What you're actually doing is leaving these flowers planted, because then whatever crops you grow, I've grown potatoes, the flowers fully grown, once they're fully grown, will then help protect these crops from getting disease. So if you pick the flowers though and replant them, they will not start to give their benefits of their effects until they're fully grown like this. So I'm going to leave these marigolds here now, and I can cycle between the 3 crops that the marigolds protect. So if we look at the marigolds, I'm going to go for the highest ones for experience. So potatoes are too low now, so onions or tomatoes. So what I'm going to do is look. See, onions are at level 5. Where's tomatoes? Tomatoes are level 12. I can't grow them yet. So I'm going to now then grow onions. So I'm going to leave my flowers planted so they will protect the crops, and I'm going to harvest these crops. The first thing though is, let's show you how to grab the compost. So I'm going to talk to the tall leprechaun. I'm going to grab my 6 buckets. That's given me these buckets. So I've got 2, 4, 6, 8. Oh, wait a minute, there's 1. Yeah, 8 buckets. So I'm now going to left click on the compost bin, because this one I've left for many a day. And now I'm going to select a bucket and click. You see I get experience for taking it out, and it's filling my buckets with compost. Okay, so I actually have not emptied it yet. So let's see, let's go to the tall leprechaun. And you can store up to 250 buckets of compost with the tall leprechaun. Now what I could actually do is fill this bucket with water, fill the watering can with water from the bucket. That gives me another one. Okay, let's buy some more buckets. So if you talk to the gardener, and if you want to buy something, can you sell me something? That depends on whether I have it to sell. Yeah, let's just take a look. So you see here you can get some plant cure. That's where you can buy the plant cure if your plants get diseased. Let's see how much they are. Plant cure, I might have some put aside myself. Tell you what, I'll sell you some plant cure for 25 gold. So, you know, you would have done the oak trees like I've shown you and got a ton of money. So you'll be able to afford that. But that's not actually what I want. I want buckets. So I don't think I don't think she sells empty buckets. It has to be one of the other shops. Ah, see more items. So you can get your watering can. You don't need these, they're on your tool belt. Ah, forget it. Okay, so let's harvest these crops. I haven't got the bin empty yet. I'll just use the compost that I've got and take it out as I get empty buckets. Always handy to have lots of empty buckets. So notice, oh look, super tuber, I've just got an achievement. So I'm getting experience for harvesting them, and as I harvest, it's going to put the potatoes, raw potatoes, in my pocket. So there we are, level 12. I can now grow potatoes. I can now grow tomatoes. Over here, let's harvest these. Okay, nice thing about the Catherby farming patches just to the south is the bank. So I'm just going to go and quickly put the potatoes in the bank. So let's deposit them. And I haven't got any more empty buckets, which is a nuisance. You can, when cutting trees, oak trees up, so oaks, willows, maples, you will very rarely get the bird's nests drop, and if you pick out of them you can get all different types of seeds, as you can see there. Ah, so onion seeds, I think I'm going to need them. And I don't think I have got some tomato seeds, but I don't know if I've got enough. See, I was killing farmers and they drop seeds, an assortment of seeds. Different creatures, in fact, scattered across the world have higher drop chances with seeds. Again, if you look at the wiki, it'll tell you what creatures drop what % chance for different items. So I've got some tomato seeds, I've got some onion seeds. Let's go and plant. So I'm going to rake this top patch, and then I'm going to use the compost. I'm going to plant my onions. And now I'm going to water. See, I've topped it up. It has 8 uses when it's full. Left click. And see how the graphic changes to the wet ground. So now I'm protecting against disease, not only with the plants being watered, but also with my marigolds are protecting them. So that's 2 forms of protection. However, these plants, onions, will grow in different crop cycles, different stages. So after about 5 minutes, it will grow to the first stage and they will then need re-watering. So I could talk to the gardener here, Dantira. Would you look after my crops for me? I might. Which one were you thinking of? The northern, because looking at this like that with your compass set to north, there's the northern, that's got my onion seeds. So if I say northern, the northern allotment. If you like, but I want 1 sack of potatoes for that. I'm afraid I don't have any of those at the moment. Well, I'm not wasting my time for free. Great. Okay, so how do we get the sack? Let's have a look. I've never actually bought any sacks. I don't know if she sells them. No, she doesn't sell them. No, I won't look at that. So, okay, I will look into the sacks. I'll let you know when I find where we get them from. Super compost, though. I was going to show you how we got the pineapples. In Cafferby, down here, when you walk in the market, you'll hear someone shouting about bananas from Caribou Jam and lovely fresh pineapples. South down the steps, just down the steps below that person shouting that, is this guy called Arhane. So if you talk to him, can I buy some pineapples? You certainly can. I've got 40 in stock going for 2 coins each. How many would you like? Every day you can buy 40 off of them. I'm going to say 40. Here you go. I've run out for now. Come again tomorrow and I'll have more. So 40 a day, and it'll cost you 80 coins. So that's next to nothing. So you can see it's very easy to get pineapples now. Never used to be able to do that. You'd have to go to one of the islands to get them, the fruit there. So let's put them in the bank. You can see I've got 185 now. Right, let's take the bucket of that, and my seeds. I don't need the marigolds, and I don't need any more potatoes. Okay, so let's now see if we can got enough tomato seeds to plant. Oh, I'll grab another bucket while I'm there. See, there's another bucket. So for these crops, because I haven't got the sack yet, I'm going to have to water them manually myself. But I have got the flowers there protecting them as well. So we'll see if they rot, if they get diseased, I should say. Okay, so let's get some more compost. And I've put compost on them as well. Let's use that. Now, let's see if I've got enough seeds. I don't know if I have. Oh, I have. There we go, look at that, cool. So you need 3. And that's tomatoes. So let's water them. So it's looking like you might need 15 empty buckets to get this compost bin empty. And what you can do is just empty the bucket of water. If you've got, like me, lots of buckets of water, just empty them and then you can use them. So you can see you get loads of compost. Okay, so I'm going to store them. Yeah, so I think about 15 buckets to empty it, the same amount as like when we put in 15 pineapples. So you get a good return. Okay, over there's the herb patch. I haven't got any herbs yet. But once I get some herb seeds, then I'm going to start planting them. Right, let me have a look. Is there anything else I wanted to mention? Ah, yeah. There are some useful items you can get for that will help you with farming. One of them I mentioned previously in an episode is the Explorer's Ring. Once you get the Explorer's Ring to tier 3, it gives you an option to teleport to the Falador farming patch. So that's the Explorer's Ring. You can also get the magic watering can, which I've mentioned, from a quest. You can make or buy urns, which give you extra experience, and you can get clothes from the Treasure Hunter game or from another vendor, which gives you bonuses to farming as well. So there's just a few items to mention to do with farming. Okay, I think I've gone on long enough and I've covered pretty much everything. The main thing to remember is always grow your flowers for the crops you want to grow first of all. Let them get to fully grown, then plant your crops around them. The exception being Tavali, where Farmer Jones will take care of them for you. Now I'm not going to go off and see if I can find where I can get one of these sacks and see how many potatoes it takes to fill a sack. In the next episode, I believe, we will do a quest. Wherever you are in the world, God bless you and keep you safe. Thank you for watching and have a fantastic day. Goodbye.